Dude, that's where the static was coming from. It was definitely coming off Kane.
How I was on mute.
I don't know, because now it's gone. I'm confused what's happening. Look. Where are we?
How about you just tell us what your fucking topic is for the week and we get this shit on the road?
No. We can't start with that. We're Kayfabe Gimmicks. I'm Snuva.
I'm gonna fuck your mouth because I'm Alex.
Yay! Rashad, say hi to the pretty people.
Hi.
That was like Mark bad. You are Mark
and I'm Mark O'Leary.
See, Mark did it better. That's
Damn,
terrible.
he gave out his whole name.
Oh shit,
Come
now
to
you
his
can
house.
find him and kill him.
Make his booty.
Matt, what's up, buddy?
Yo, I am the unclean spitter. I got raps to bust up bus.
You know, guys, Rashad is cooler than you because he came and saw me the other day.
Bro, I ain't driving all the way to fucking Gainesville.
Yeah,
Man.
dude.
Oh, you told them where I live. Gainesville sucks.
God damn.
Fuck. Now
If I lived
fuck.
right next to you, I still wouldn't
You open
visit
the door. See, I would actually go visit Rashad because he lives in Atlanta. That's only a couple hours from Birmingham. Gainesville is another couple hours past Birmingham, which means it's no longer a short drive.
Nope.
I hear you guys. Well, we are Kayfabe Gimmicks. We got some news to talk about this week. The internet community people made a big deal about Stone Cold and WWE having a bad relationship now.
It is a big deal.
Oh, about him not doing the podcast. I'm actually glad he didn't do that podcast.
Did you watch the podcast?
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome. Rashad, thoughts?
On the Jericho?
No. On the fact that Stone Cold... Did you hear about the controversy?
I didn't hear it recently, but I've heard some things along the way.
They were saying Vince was really upset.
And I can understand, because, Stone Cold for a while has been a very vocal person about the state of WWE and the talent, the development, and all those things. And he hasn't been one person to shy away from those things. And he said, the roster's not deep, and things need to be developed. And he doesn't really like the entertainment spin. He's more so of a wrestling guy and a realist. And I can see that rift coming. Being that I'm not well versed on the latest controversy, but based on that, I can kind of understand and see, that there would be some sort of clash between the two.
And that's why the CEO is here on Kayfabe Gimmicks. Seriously, I went there. I don't give a shit, bitches. Did anybody hear what happened?
Yeah,
So
I read
Stone
all
Cold?
about it. But Stone Cold recently came out and debunked the whole thing.
Yeah, Stone Cold blew the entire thing apart on his podcast this week. And even said that the only reason it didn't happen was because they couldn't agree on the right money amount.
Well, no, I think it's they had a prior contract with another show.
No, that was the Tough Enough thing.
Oh,
He didn't
right.
do Tough Enough because the Broken Skull Challenge is doing another season. But he didn't do the podcast thing because they just couldn't equal up on money. It happens sometimes, when you're trying to make a business deal, sometimes it just doesn't go through.
Seems like a dumb move on his part. The amount of publicity he'd be getting for his podcast doing that is just huge.
Honestly, I'm actually glad Austin wasn't there because I feel like despite the fact that Austin would have asked more hard-hitting, quote-unquote, questions, it wouldn't have gone as well. Because Cena's going to toe the company line, you know what I mean?
I mean,
He's
I don't
not-
really feel like Cena towed the company line in that podcast.
Yeah, but it's with Jericho. They're friends.
All amazing friends, apparently. It was awesome.
Yeah, he told that one story from his book where he talks about the fact that John Cena outdrank him and then tucked him into bed and stayed up all night and drank beer while listening to his iPod.
The heel stuff is what really turned me on.
What, that he ran out and...
Set everything up to be a heel?
Well, you
Yes,
know
it
the
all
rest
set
of
up.
that story, right?
What do you mean?
The rest of that story is that he hadn't actually gotten the gear made. What he did was put the deposit down so that he could have like $2,000 worth of gear made. because apparently jorts cost $2,000.
I mean, was he going to wear jorts for his evil run? I don't know.
I don't know. But whenever they decided not to turn him heel, he gave, I don't remember which people he gave the basically deposit to, but he gave it to people to go get ring gear for themselves.
That's kind of cool.
Dude, you can't hate him.
Nah.
Cena the person is the man.
He's fucking great. Did anybody else actually watch the podcast?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Did
Yeah.
you like it? Did you guys love
Yeah, it
it?
was really good. Like, I've always liked Cena as a person. I just don't like him as a character.
Rashad, thoughts?
Likewise, I feel the same. Cena's awesome. Like, I guess understanding him as a person, but it's hard to to agree with him as a wrestler. But Cena's awesome in my book.
You have to just kind of overlook his person in the ring.
Matt, did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch it.
You should really go watch it, man. It's a good time.
I know that I should, and as a wrestling fan, I should, but I just haven't yet.
I understand.
I'm gonna, because I fuck with the podcast. I fuck with his podcast on Podcast One and shit, and Austin's and JR's too. They're pretty good, depending on the guest.
Whoa, JR's is not a real thing. You're talking out your ass.
What?
Yeah, he's got a podcast.
The WWE won't talk about JR's podcast.
So we can't talk about JR's podcast?
I'm just making up bullshit.
Man, I listened. I only sat through one episode of JR, and it was the Benoit episode with MVP. It was fabulous.
He's got some good ones though, dude. Like for real, for real.
He's probably the weakest podcast, really, though, because he's more of a reactor. You know, he's great on commentary, but he's just not really a great interviewer.
It's dependent on who he has on there, because he does like this dry ass, self-deprecating humor that is hard to get.
Yeah, like
talks
he's
about
too
how he's
slow as
dying
an interviewer.
sometimes.
Like when he's on commentary, like his reactions are brilliant. Like I love him on commentary, but just as an interviewer, he's just too fucking dry.
I'm gonna go on his podcast for an interview and then catch him on fire.
Oh my god. Well, this is actually going to come up later today in a conversation. We're going to move on, though. We had some big news. Scott Steiner tried to threaten to kill Hulk Hogan, apparently.
Yo,
Big
man,
Papa Pump's coming for it.
that is ridiculous. Like, you can't just run up to a dude's girlfriend and shoot a promo on her in the airport like that. And the thing is, like, he probably would kill Hulk Hogan.
Oh god, that'd be
I
such
mean,
a
I
bad
think
match.
Hulk Hogan falling would kill Hulk Hogan at this point.
Hulk Hogan actually said if he did one more leg drop, he might just turn into dust.
Yeah, and that's a true statement. He probably would turn into dust.
I mean, it definitely might be. I could see that.
That's such a terrible thing to happen. It's such a crappy finish. It just damaged him for life.
His butt bone's broken. So, guys, I watched ECW. Oh, God, which one was it? It was 98. One of the 98 pay-per-views recently. And I love that fucking crowd. I love that crowd to death. Mainly because, for some reason, the ECW crowd, they did not take... They fell into the kayfabe of ECW while yelling, fuck you, and I hope you die to every single WCW and WWF performer that came onto their damn show. And I find it's kind of an interesting look at smarks in modern times. ECW was kind of that first smarky crowd. They really knew what the fuck was going on, but man, they still just were balls deep into their own product.
I think the issue these days when it comes to smarks is mostly just, I think people's standards have gone much higher than they used to be, and that's basically just that's basically all of it. Is that people's standards are much higher. Back then, they just sort of liked the characters, and that was fine if you weren't a good wrestler. These days, you have to be a good wrestler.
I feel you. I brought it up because Rob Van Dam had a pretty big interview recently, and he came out and he was talking about the current product at one point. And And his statement about it was, I get a lot of feedback from fans because they're everywhere. Everybody wants to tell me whether they're happy or disappointed in what the wrestling product is. But it's an art form. And their fans, it's their job to receive that art expression, and that's just the way it is. The fans don't dictate. I think a lot of the judgment is okay for conversation when they're amongst themselves, but as a wrestler, I think what the fans think they know what would be better they were in Vince's position, they think they could run a global billion-dollar company that I tend to think fan talks would probably be more enjoyed among themselves. And he's kind of got a point. Some of our best ideas probably would not appeal to most people.
Probably is an understatement. It
depends on what. I think something just simple usually is... Some really easy ideas probably would work just because they've been done before. If you talk about something completely crazy, like something you'd come up where the commentator becomes the champion or something, that might fall on its face. It's well, it might be really good, who knows, but it's such a risky move.
I mean, dude, when they were running that whole what if Jerry the King Lawler wins storyline, I would have rathered we'd seen Jerry the King Lawler versus The Miz for a rematch with Jerry the King Lawler as the belt holder at WrestleMania than Cole versus Lawler.
Right. You say you think that's a good idea, but you must admit that you could probably see that just going horribly bad.
I mean, did you see Lawler's match he did last year against Scott Steiner, speaking of which?
Yeah, right, fine. I mean, you must admit, though, come on, it could be a complete disaster if they did that. It could just be booed out of the building.
Do you remember how much of a disaster Cole versus Lawler was?
Oh, God.
I don't think it could be more of a disaster than that. That's all I'm saying. In that case, I mean, Rashad, what are your thoughts on it? Hi, Kane.
On Lawler.
No, on who is better to... Do we have better ideas as a wrestling community, as an internet wrestling community, than the guy who's actually been running the billion-dollar corporation for years upon years now?
I believe we do, and it's crazy to say because he always says we listen to the people, we listen to what they want, but at the end of the day, most of the decisions you can tell he doesn't listen to the people, and I feel we have good ideas. We watch the product, we're embedded in the product, and we're not dumb. We know what's going on, and I just feel like they say they listen, but I don't agree.
No, they clearly don't.
I mean, I feel where you're coming from, but to roll it back around, Cena in the podcast brought up a very good point. You have to innovate. You have to be willing to take a risk. And I don't think any of us can say that the man didn't take risks to get where he's at.
A long time ago. He hasn't taken a risk in a very long time.
He's definitely playing the game at this point in time.
You're talking about basically the 1980s here. It's been ages.
I mean, what? The 80s?
You're talking when he rose to power. It's the WWE is such a product now. It doesn't matter what happens to people watch it anyway. People use WWE as just meaning wrestling. That's how big it is. You ask the average person and they'll call wrestling WWE. It could be shit as hell every night and it'd still get a ton of people watching it. He doesn't even have to try anymore.
Well, a ton is definitely questionable because their ratings
dropped massively.
Well, let's say it'll still get 10 times as much as the second biggest wrestling show.
It'll be interesting if Ring of Honor gets that TV deal to see how it really goes.
I mean, I feel that you're going to see that Ring of Honor adds a lot of WWE-type things into their programming.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
Well, no, I would agree with that as well. I think we'll see bigger stadiums, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, are we going to get the standard that we've had of Ring of Honor, or are we going to get Ring of Honor becoming WWE? And I honestly think we'll continue to get Ring of Honor, which would probably pull a decent bit of viewership. I doubt they'd go to a Monday night because that would just be a terrible decision, but
I hear you. I hear you. To continue on in the news, SmackDown is finally going to USA.
Yay, I guess.
I mean,
okay.
you know, I kind of felt weird with it on Sci-Fi, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know, like, why was it on Sci-Fi? That is, like, just weird to be on that
Just
station.
to get the TV deal.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, you know...
SmackDown's bounced a whole lot, especially they went from live to recorded a bunch. And it probably hasn't helped, along with the fact... Oh, God, where were they? I can't even name all the networks SmackDown has been on, because it's been...
What, UPN, WB...
UPN was actually kind of my favorite. I liked when it was on basic cable.
Yeah, because that was something you could just peep, like, without having whatever, but it wasn't on like Sci-Fi Station is like, you know, it's sci-fi shit. It's a certain demographic that tunes into that.
Yeah.
So just having that wrestling there was kind of an odd fit.
I think
it was.
Honestly,
I feel like they could have gone further with the Sci-Fi brand and actually done some stuff to work with it.
I'd actually rather see them go back to somewhere like UPN because it draws viewership, if anything.
It does. It does. Did you guys pay any attention to the Justin Roberts drama this week?
I wouldn't even call it drama, but yeah, I read it.
I mean, how did you feel about it?
He was right. Let's be real here. He was right.
I agree. I definitely agree. I love Justin Roberts to death.
The WWE twisted the Ultimate Warrior's words, correct? Can we all agree on that? They twisted his words so that they could induct a little boy into the Hall of Fame who tragically died of cancer. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm stating facts. Agreed?
Yeah.
They did it so that they could put out their own PR and basically say, look at what a good company we are. Correct?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Added along with the fact that Stephanie McMahon decided stupidly to tweet that philanthropy was the future of all businesses for some ungod reason. On the same night that they announced Conor was going into the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I hear you. I hear you.
They did a lot of stupid decisions about the whole thing.
They did come out
with them inducting Conor. No, not at all. Because okay, there's nothing wrong with it, but the way they went about the whole situation was stupid.
The things about it is, I honestly believe Justin Roberts entirely when he says they twisted it into being about them when it was his thing. That seems pretty much a guarantee at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the truth.
But WWE came out, called bullshit, said that they did it for the kid, and the interesting thing about it, and the reason that I brought it up, was because right after that incident happened, apparently Conor's dad went ahead and tweeted out, regardless of what's said, Justin Roberts loved Conor and we love him. That's what counts. I will never forget all he did for Conor and now me.
Yeah. Like I said.
Because it's the truth and he doesn't want WWE to...
Well, no, because he can't say anything bad about the WWE at this point.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, he can't just come out and say it and then, considering what they're doing for Conor.
Alright, guys. Alright. So, I brought you guys Rashad for a reason tonight. Because I'm gonna do some dream booking.
God damn it.
And I want you to imagine a ladder towering over the ring. And Andre the Giant and Big Show duking it out on top of the fucking ladder.
What?
Because that was my childhood. That was my childhood when I was playing goddamn WWF No Mercy.
This is already done.
Fuck all of you. Because
frankly,
I think No Mercy was the greatest game ever. But I wanted to talk to you guys about the history of wrestling video games tonight because we've got 16 coming out this year and I'm afraid it's going to suck ball sacks.
It probably will.
But I wanted to talk about your history with wrestling games. We'll start with Alex. What was the first wrestling game you remember playing?
Something on the N64.
So, No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000?
Wasn't WrestleMania 2000 GameCube?
No.
No. I forget what WrestleMania game was on GameCube. Okay.
WrestleMania
it was
19.
It was probably No Mercy, but
No Mercy was one of the greatest games ever because you could unlock so many fucking different characters. Matt, first game you remember playing?
Damn it, the one with the dude with the star on his face.
the one with the dude with the star on his
Yo,
face.
Are we talking about Kiss?
No,
Are we talking about
no.
Stardust?
It's just called Pro Wrestling. It came out in '86 for the NES.
The first time I ever played a wrestling game, it was in the 90s. It was around the Attitude Era time. But we were playing on a Super Nintendo, I want to tell you, when we were playing WWF Raw, I think. And it was the one that had the little bucket on the side of the goddamn ring. And I would always run outside, grab the bucket, hit the motherfuckers with the bucket, run back in before the 10 count, go back, use the bucket again until I could finally pin the motherfucker.
The bucket was awesome.
Mark, what was your first wrestling game?
We're doing SmackDown 2.
Is that Here Comes the Pain?
No, the SmackDown 2 on the PlayStation 1.
Oh god, that's right. There was a couple of... There was just SmackDown and SmackDown 2
Yeah,
as
I
well.
missed SmackDown 1, but I think SmackDown 2 came out just when I was getting into wrestling.
Rashad, what was your first wrestling game?
I can't remember the first one I played, but the only one that's coming to my head right now is the WrestleMania arcade game, but I got it on PlayStation.
WrestleFest. Oh snap! It's a classic.
Yeah, so I got that.
Wait, WrestleFest had a PlayStation release?
Yeah.
I need to pick this motherfucker up.
I thought that it never came out. It was supposed to, but it didn't.
I don't know.
No, I had WrestleMania.
WrestleMania on PlayStation 1?
Yeah, they had the like the coin operated.
Oh yeah,
WrestleMania
yeah.
version. They
The
had
one
a
where,
PlayStation release. It had like Doink, Shawn Michaels,
Yeah.
Undertaker, Yokozuna, Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, and one more character. I can't remember.
Wasn't that WrestleFest?
No, it was WrestleMania. It was just
the
WrestleMania.
Yeah, the
But they
WrestleMania
still
the
had the-
arcade game.
And
It's like
Lex Luger. Lex Luger. was
the
on
one
there.
where like Undertaker
And
would
Bam
pull
Bam
out
Bigelow.
a tombstone and shit.
Yeah. And Lex had a big fan, and Doink, just like everybody had these little things they just pull out and stuff. That's the first one, the one that I can remember actually having. But I had other ones, but that was the first one. For some reason, I only remember that one.
No, I remember that game too. That game was a lot of fun. Rashad, well, let's stick with you. What is your least fondly remembered game ever?
Least fondly remembered. I would probably have to say, For some reason, WCW Thunder is coming to mind.
Oh god, I remember that one too.
Between that and Warzone.
I can understand Warzone. The worst wrestling game that ever probably came out was Crush Zone.
Oh,
Is that the driving one?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
that was god awful.
Yeah, I didn't play that one.
It's only worthwhile just because of what it was. That was its crazy moment. Matt, what was your least favorite game ever in wrestling?
PlayStation 1, WCW Nitro.
WCW had a lot of bad games. You guys remember the Backstage Mayhem? I think it was called.
Oh, yes, I remember that. N64.
Oh my god. And the entire game was just about knocking your opponent out. I don't even think there was a ring in the entire fucking game. Mark, least favorite game ever?
Now that you remember me, it might be the N64 WCW game. That was fucking terrible. I think I actually liked it at first. Then after a while, you just realise, oh, it's just the same shit over and over and over and over again.
That
was
was me and the TNA game. The TNA game goes for one of my worst.
Yeah, it was pretty shitty.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody had the exact same fucking moveset, except for their finishers.
I think the thing with that, though, is everyone saw it coming that it'd be bad. It's like, what did you really expect from a TNA game?
The AAA game that they made based off of the TNA engine was actually surprisingly good. Little unknown fact there. Alex, what was your least favorite game?
Can I say this past WWE 2K whatever?
2K15?
Game was fucking ass.
I don't think 2K15's the worst.
I don't know what people are complaining about. It's fine to me.
To roll it all around, actually, because I was going to bring this up earlier. You guys almost destroyed my entire thunder when we were talking about JR earlier. Oh my fucking god, they just released the last DLC showcase for 15. And it's the rise and fall of the Ultimate Warrior or whatever. And listening to Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler talk about the Warrior in the 80s makes me want to stab myself. It's miserable.
Yeah.
It's fucking miserable. It's like, why can't you guys just, like, hire back somebody? Like, they're not dead.
I'm pretty sure
they have to do
I'm
this.
pretty sure at this point JR is like estranged from the fucking WWE, which is depressing.
Yeah, I mean they've shitted on him like for so long because God knows why.
He's outspoken.
You know what? He's not. He don't talk shit about WWE either. It's the crazy thing.
I get the impression that he told Vince McMahon his ideas are stupid one time too many.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Rashad, you want in on this?
It's sad, man. That's all I gotta say. It's just sad.
I could see that. I didn't watch Wrestle Kingdom 9 this year, but how was JR on commentary so many years later? Mark, this is your big moment to shine.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How was JR on commentary this year? I mean, it's been years since he'd done it, but I mean, was he amazing at Wrestle Kingdom?
Well, it was a bit odd at Wrestle Kingdom because I'm pretty sure it was like recorded and everything, and you could tell they went in the building and he was talking about a product he doesn't know very well. So it started off a bit weak, but once he got into it, I think he did a pretty fucking good job. You wouldn't have been able to do it without Matt Striker there, though, because between the two of them, he was the only one who knew anything about New Japan.
Oh my god, Matt Striker is the markiest mark on commentary ever.
I know. Like, I don't really quite like him much either. But
I love him.
at the same time, when you're doing this like New Japan product and JR doesn't watch the product clearly, you just sort of know some bits about it. Like, you kind of needed a smart there.
I loved Matt Striker on SmackDown just because he was so into it, man.
I do like that about him. He just needed a bit of polish. He's good on Lucha Underground though.
He is so into the product he's in. Did anybody play Raw on the Xbox?
Everyone loved that.
I did a little bit. I didn't own the game, but I played it, and I didn't like it.
I don't blame you.
Not
I don't
like
blame
it.
you. One of my favorite games ever was Day of Reckoning on the GameCube. I love Day of Reckoning.
I think one of my favorite ones was SmackDown. I can't even remember which SmackDown versus Raw it was, but it was on the PlayStation 2. Just because, and I played through the storyline a bunch of times, but they had your own creator wrestler storyline, which, okay, nowadays probably isn't that great, but in like 2004, 2005, whenever it was, that was the shit.
Was that the one with
I'm
Brock Lesnar on the front?
No, Brock
Triple
Lesnar
H?
was never on the front of the,
Was it Triple H? I'm like,
I think Brock Lesnar's last game was Here Comes the Pain.
Here Comes the Pain was fucking great.
I preferred Shut Your Mouth at the time. Because the season mode was better.
You need to shut your mouth, because Here Comes the Pain is considered one of the best games of all goddamn time.
Yeah.
You know
I
which
was always
one?
into the season mode really hard back then, though, and Shut Your Mouth had a better season mode, so that kind of swung it for me.
I can't figure out which one exactly it might have been, but it could have been 2006.
06 was really, really good, but 07 will probably have my fondest memories of the series ever. You could build your own crib. It had a great season mode thing where you could have your creator wrestler in it, and you could have like so many of the actual wrestlers in it in 07, I think, and they would actually talk with their actual voices.
You know what's sad? And I'm going to talk shit here. The games, like, character detail-wise, looked better 10 years ago, basically, than they do now.
You know,
Character models look like ass in these wrestling games lately.
I'm going to put it to you like this. 13 was great. I'm not going to hate on 13. I love the Attitude Era mode. It was fun. 13 could have used some better things. 13's online mode was garbage.
Yeah, it was.
But I skipped 14 entirely. And I didn't skip 15. I got it on next gen. It's nice. It has great gameplay. But 07 was my favorite for gameplay, because if you grabbed somebody and you dragged them to a corner, you would actually go into a animation where you could control whether you were chopping them in the chopping their chest or punching them in the head. You could actually, if you had exposed the turnbuckle, you could pull their head back and smash it into the turnbuckle. And there were all those little moments all over the place.
Wins weren't from smashing the buttons the best.
Seriously, there was a great total control moves, I think they called them. You could actually pick somebody up in a choke slam. You could switch it to a choke hold. You could choke slam them out of the ring if you got them to the edge.
I love the submission in there as well. You know, with the pullback on the analog one.
Oh yeah,
that was the best one, because you could had skill involved in it rather than just button mashing.
Do we really need to get into submissions?
I really love submission moves in wrestling. So but using them in the game just sucks.
Still sucks.
Using games and using submission moves in wrestling games at this point, the last couple of years,
it's
basically, it's considered cheese moves, because it's the easiest way to win, especially if you could just mash your buttons really fast.
The second you've got one of their body parts to red, it's an automatic win if you put the submission in.
Yeah, exactly. Which
if you're playing with someone good, even if you got them really fucked up, they might be quick enough to kick out. On a submission, it's just impossible.
Yeah, no. Whenever we used to play, what was it, 2K? Not 2K, but I guess it was 13 all the time.
They've renamed it 2K13, so that's fair.
Is it renamed 2K13 now?
Yeah, they renamed it 2K13 after they bought it out.
Oh, good lord. Kicking out was not hard, even at super high percentages. You could get hit with 10 finishers in a row, and you were like, okay, I got this.
Well, that is a bit fucked up. You needed to be harder than that.
It's definitely better in 15.
Kicking out's good now, but the submission is completely broken.
Yeah, they can't fix that at this rate. My biggest problem with 15 is the lack of character customization.
I've heard that was really bad.
Oh, yeah. There's hardly any hairstyles or hardly any tattoos or anything, it's...
And a lot of them, the worst part about it is some of these things have been in this series since SmackDown vs. Raw started. And somehow when 2K bought out the series, they're still using Yuke's crap.
It's like they make some dope shit for it, but then go back and, fuck it up. They're always just experimenting and never stick with anything that really works.
Yeah, the submission in 13 was great then. They should have just refined it more and more. They shouldn't have changed the whole thing. It worked.
No, submissions were terrible in 13.
Submissions were terrible in 13.
Am I thinking of the wrong one? Wasn't that the one where you could pull back the analog on it?
No, that
was 10.
Yeah. That was 10. 13
Oh,
was
well, that's the one I've been talking about then. I love that one.
13 had the words breaking point come up, and they would just sit there.
Oh, it's basically the
button
same
mash.
now, isn't it? But yeah, that's shit. But I hate button mashing in games. I hate it.
Especially whenever it's button mashing to determine a winner.
Especially just the fact that I'm terrible at it. So yeah, but even if I was good at it, it'd still be crap.
I've always loved the button mashing to kick out.
Nah,
I
I
actually
like it
like
to be
the
like a
kick out
control and
system when
timing
they
thing,
picked
you know?
Yeah, no, I'm actually okay with the way they have it set up now, where it's hey, if you can hit this little bar and that little bar depletes. The problem is that at a certain point, that little bar stops shrinking, and it doesn't become any harder to kick out. The bar doesn't move faster. You just kind of go, okay, well, hit it. Okay,
Yeah,
we're
but when
good.
you got to the point where it won't get any harder, it's pretty fucking hard.
Not,
I gotta give Mark that. Like, 15 gives me some trouble still.
I didn't think it was that bad, but maybe it's because I haven't played 15. I mean,
15,
I've played it,
It
but
seems like it's worse or something.
15's kickout system is better than 13's because it's a little bit hard. It's a lot harder, but the submission system is still pretty much the exact same damn thing. Kane, you're quiet as hell. Chime in.
I was just yeah, I'm not a button masher myself. I suck at that. Especially playing someone like
Jarek.
Gant
Jarek.
or Jarek as well. Yeah,
Shout out to Jarek.
goddamn,
They're
Todd,
pretty-
blow out your mic there, why don't you?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. I'm gonna rub it on my
pretty
balls
fast
now.
thumbs. Gantz is left-handed, so I hate playing him because he always beats me, and it's just I don't have fast thumbs. So
Yeah,
Shout
neither
out to
do I.
Gans,
It's
we
just a
hate
fucking
him.
weird thing. If it's multiplayer or someone is button mashing, I've already lost. Like I just don't even try anymore. Like I can press it about 3 times a minute.
I don't blame you at all. Anybody else want to talk about any of their favorite games besides Alex?
What about Saturday Night Slam Masters?
That is not a WWE game, but I really enjoy it.
I mean, are we talking WWE or are we talking
Fuck it, why do we
video
have
games?
to?
You know what I'm
Fuck it,
saying?
why do we have to? I think we're kind of talking about some video games, motherfucker.
We're talking about some wrestling.
You know, I loved the Aki games. Do we call them Aki, or is it supposed to be AKI?
I don't
Oh,
know.
I don't know.
All Stars was fun.
All Stars is so much fucking fun. That game is funner than it deserves to be.
I heard they make a second one. Doesn't seem like they will though.
I don't think they ever will.
It's all about the signatures and the finishes though, isn't it? That's what you want to see, but it's fucking fun.
Did anybody play any Fire Pro?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I did.
I'm a huge fan of Fire Pro. I love sprite-based graphics, plus it's one of the only games where you're going to have, like, what, an 8-man C4 deathmatch in there?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But the learning curve is even more ridiculous. And the last Fire Pro even included a UFC mode. That's what made it super fucking crazy. Rashad, what's your favorite game ever?
favorite game ever.
For wrestling, of course.
That's pretty dang tough. But can I one up you one?
Sure.
It's not about necessarily a game, but
Somebody's definitely playing a goddamn game because I heard some button mashing going on just now.
What? No way.
It's not me for once.
It's fucking bad.
What? Yo, that's crazy. It's crazy talk.
Stop interrupting Kane.
But I will say this. All right. On all the games you played, and we're talking about, you know, our favorite video games, and then we're talking about 2K15 and the lack thereof. What is something that you could grab from a previous game that they're holding out on that you would bring back to, or you would like to see on 16, like a 16 wish list? Even though we may not hit
ECW.
it, but just in our wildest dreams, what
Old
you know,
school.
what's something that you guys would like to see? For me, if they could ever bring the GM mode back, that would be
GM
pretty awesome.
I'd be happy if they brought back the customizations from older games.
GM mode was my favorite thing ever, just because it was like, oh man, I'm gonna get Undertaker, bitch. I'm gonna get Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, the thing I want
you.
the most is what they actually had in last year's game anyway, which is slobber knocker mode. Like, that's my favourite thing in these games. That's just a thing you can go on all the time.
I mean, isn't that what they did with the whole streak mode? Like, it was basically...
Yeah, kind of.
Gauntlet.
It's just like you're in the ring and then just one person after one person comes out and you gotta beat them. It's just like a game. That's what I want most of all. That's the time sink. That's the thing I can just go on anytime I feel like it when I'm bored.
I hear you. I like universe mode for that though.
But it's just a singles match. I think once you played the game for like 3 times, then you can beat the computer just at will.
I honestly think, and I don't remember it being in any games, but if we're going to take cues from any game, I'd like to see them just do what they've done with other... I don't know, you can't really call WWE games a sports game, but other sports games where it's an online franchise mode in some form. I don't know how you would really pull it off, but you know what I mean.
They could have tournaments and all that shit. Like, that's official.
I mean, I don't want that for the simple fact that people are going to find the cheese moves, and I'm not about that. But I mean, like, if there was a universe mode, which is basically that you play the shows, what if there was a way to combine it all together where each person has a specific character while they all play the shows? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like they do this with 2K. Like, say there's a recent basketball game and something happened in that game, you can play something happened in the actual real life game. You could play it on your NBA 2K. Like, so every Monday Night Raw, if something like big happened, you know, like send out.
Nothing big happens anymore.
Well, you know what I mean.
Isn't that what EA tried to do at one point?
I don't know. 2K does it. They do it with their NBA games. And
EA does it with Madden. Yes, Madden moments.
Like, keep going, Matt.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, that would keep it going, you know, instead of everybody just playing it when it first comes out and then kind of fizzles out. But it'd be dope, like, you know, say somebody debuted or came back, made a return, you could play that return. Just like the story mode, only just, you know, little bits and pieces thrown at you every week. Or maybe just every month after the pay-per-view.
I do like that idea about being able to play the shows, kind of like an online universe mode version of it, because people are already doing it, and some of us have done something sort of like it already.
Yeah,
you can get
exactly.
on Twitch and stuff like that, and you can see people have their own leagues organized where they're, you know, playing the shows and they're broadcasting it. And now that you have these platforms to be able to do these things, they should actually put that in the game, because to me it looks like it would be something simple. Everyone's assigned a wrestler. You create a show. Everyone's in a room, a party room. They're chatting, they're talking, interacting, or whatever, and we're wrestling. And if we want to broadcast it, we can broadcast it.
Exactly.
Simple. And it would be awesome.
I hear you. You know, ECW had terrible, terrible video games, but I love the fact that you could bleed from places besides the top of your head. Just saying.
Man, I forgot all about those.
Yeah, back then the graphics were so poor that, like, if you tried to do it nowadays, it'd be a complete clusterfuck probably.
I mean, I understand that, but I mean, I just, you know, I would like to see better blood in my wrestling games again. It's really funny. 10 was the last year, and 10 had blood, and they did it awesomely.
Yeah, but they're not going to go real hardcore.
And then 11 did the, oh man, you can take a ladder and throw it at people.
Yeah, that was
I loved 11 just because it had the crazy ass physics. We need physics back in our wrestling games. Well, closing thoughts. I think it was a great idea to talk about some wrestling video games. Mark, I don't think we ever got to you. What's your favorite wrestling game?
Shit, I don't really know. I mean, I kind of just like wherever the newest one is, to be honest. I'm not very picky. The only thing I really want is like slow. If they had slobber knocker mode this year, it'd be perfect, because I really like it. The rest of it.
God, I hate you. You know, I will say this about 15.
I just really like the new moves and shit. To be honest, like playing the thing about WWE games is like unless you're playing multiplayer, then it's just easy as fuck. And the only way for it to be any challenge is like a gauntlet match sort of style, where you just fight one person after the other after the other. That's the only way I'm ever going to lose on that game.
I mean, in single player, I feel that Legend Mode on 15 was a step up, especially from 13.
Yeah, it was. Like, it was a little hard at first, but then it's just same as every year. Once you get used to it, I could do it.
Yeah, I don't think I've gotten too used to it yet. I've been staying kind of off of it this year. I will say its career mode is terrible.
Yeah, it hasn't been good for a long time.
Well, career mode this year was a big thing that 2K was pushing. They're like, oh my god, look what we have, and...
What was it? Just a straight linear...
Oh, you never played 15, dude? Oh.
I didn't play the career. I didn't play the
my
career
god,
mode
dude! You start out in NXT, you win it NXT, you get the NXT belt, you have to defend it for 4 weeks, and then you go to SmackDown, and then you play for about 10 fucking hours before you go to Raw. Nothing really ever happens. It puts stupid fucking stipulations on shit. You just play a lot of singles matches, dark matches, tune-up matches. Every once in a while, something will happen, and then finally you're on Raw, and it pretty much ends. It's terrible. There's no storytelling in it.
That's
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's fucking awful. It's the same problem as the rest of the game. It's too easy. You can't turn the difficulty mode on it up even, because it stays at normal.
I won't say it's easy. I actually find it to be problematic at times. Your first...
Only right at the beginning is just like piss poor in stats, you know? But once your character's like of any strength whatsoever, it's
I'm
just
maxed
normal.
out right now, and it keeps making me fight people like Big Show and Mark Henry and trying to whoop my fucking ass.
I guess you must be fucking god awful at that game.
Tiny, actually.
It's not normal.
Alright, y'all argue whenever the fucking recording's done. Let's
No,
fucking talk.
this is the thing. Matt, did you play it?
No, I don't get it. Maybe it's your thing. For some reason, mine's stuck on normal mode. It won't.
Oh, I think
change.
mine's on Legendary. I think I started mine on Legendary, dude. You never jumped your game to Legendary?
Yeah, I did. I've looked online. Maybe do you have like an
No.
Xbox One?
Only one of us dumbasses has an Xbox One.
No, I have a PS4. I was asking maybe that's why yours works.
Alex!
What? Yo, I'm not getting into this fucking discussion.
We love you and your Xbox One, Alex. We love your Xbox One. Don't hate on us, Alex. Where were we at? What?
I'm just gonna kill you all.
You love us. You love us like a fat kid loves cake. You know what? I will end this with one thing and one thing only. Oh my fucking god, John Cena as a bodybuilder. That shit was creepy.
You didn't know
I'd never
that?
seen the pictures, dude. I don't think I'd ever seen pictures of John Cena, like, veiny as fuck.
Yeah, man.
Did you download them on your hard drive and kept
No,
keep 'em?
maybe that's what you're gonna masturbate later, too.
John Cena gave you a hard on.
I thought it was really weird. He looked so damn tiny. He was like the tiniest I've ever seen Cena. He was straight toning, and no, he wasn't putting on any muscle. Like, he was just toning every fucking part of his body. He was built like a bodybuilder chick. Aww. Alex, talk to us.
Yeah, that.
What? I haven't been listening to your bullshit for like the last 5
I was
minutes.
talking
bro.
about Skinny Cena.
Oh, old school Skinny.
I'd never
Cena?
seen
Yeah.
that shit before, dude. That should be the image of this podcast.
That was before all the fucking.
I don't think
steroids
the
and
man
stuff.
did steroids.
Bruh. Trust me, I know what someone who's done steroids looks like.
I mean,
Man did
so
some
do
steroids.
I. So do I. He doesn't have any tattoos. Tattoos make it easy to see.
His deltoids make it easy to see.
Doesn't it do something to their jawline too or something?
Well, yeah, that's the other. He has a. It's not so much that his jawline has changed; it's the fact that his head in general got bigger. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but one of the main reasons people knew Barry Bonds was on the juice, besides his massive muscle growth, was his head got like 10 hat sizes bigger.
Yeah, it got,
No shit. I didn't know
it
that.
grew bigger than an 8, right?
Yeah.
He outgrew a size 8.
Yeah. Barry Bonds got a big
big,
ass
man.
fucking head.
That is huge. I thought I
You
had
do have
a
a big head, by the way.
I know, but I don't compare to Barry Bonds.
Just do something for me real
All
quick. Look up a picture of John Cena now.
Okay.
And then in another window, put in like John Cena, I don't know, 2000. When did he start? 3?
2002?
And now look at him.
All right, I'm trying to find a picture.
I mean, dude was already fairly juicy whenever he started, but like you could tell. I mean, come on, dude was a former bodybuilder. That was his thing.
I know,
before.
but you know, when he premiered in the WWE, he lost all that toning. He lost a lot of that toning.
He was still pretty freaking big back
He
then.
didn't have
man.
all the veins, though.
Nobody had him before. All it took was a little bit of fat loss to get it all back. Trust me. Look at the man's traps and look at the man's delts. That's how you tell.
Oh, dude.
In reality, that is truly how you tell if someone is using or not.
So you're telling us that the Jericho podcast was a lie and it was a work?
Yeah.
And that's our roughly moment for the night. I'm out. This was Kayfabe Gimmicks. Thanks to Kane for stopping by. Thanks to Mark for being a bitch. Thanks to Alex for thinking he's better than the rest of us. And thanks for Matt for his heel turn.
As
You're
always.
supposed to say something heelish, bitch. This is why I'm the heel of the fucking group and you're just a fucking baby face.